The power of silence in arguments is one of the most underestimated forms of strength a person can possess. Yet throughout history, philosophers, leaders, and wise thinkers have repeatedly emphasized that silence often holds far more influence than endless words. When people argue, emotions rise quickly, and the desire to prove oneself right often becomes stronger than the desire to understand the truth. Voices become louder, reactions become faster, and the mind begins to operate not from reason but from impulse. In such moments, silence appears weak to many people, as if remaining quiet means surrendering the debate or admitting defeat. But in reality, silence can represent the highest level of emotional control and mental discipline. Silence allows a person to pause, observe, and regain clarity while the other person continues to speak from emotion. When someone refuses to react immediately, they interrupt the normal rhythm of conflict, because arguments depend on reaction to keep growing. When one person throws anger and the other throws anger back, the fire spreads. But when anger meets calm silence, the energy begins to lose its force. This is why silence has often been described as a psychological mirror. When someone is shouting, blaming, or accusing, and the other person simply remains calm and quiet, the speaker is forced to hear their own words more clearly. Many times people realize the irrationality or harshness of what they are saying only when there is no immediate opposition pushing back against them. Silence creates space for self-awareness, something that rarely appears in heated exchanges where both sides are focused on defending their positions. Another powerful aspect of silence in arguments is that it protects your dignity and self-control. Words spoken in anger are difficult to take back, and many relationships have been permanently damaged by sentences spoken during moments of emotional intensity. When a person trains themselves to pause instead of reacting immediately, they prevent themselves from saying things they may regret later. This restraint demonstrates maturity and self-mastery. The ability to control your response in an emotional situation sends a powerful message about your character. It shows that you value truth and understand it more than ego or victory. In many conflicts, the real issue is not the problem being discussed, but the ego of the individuals involved. Each person wants to win, to appear stronger, or to dominate the conversation. Silence disrupts this competition because it refuses to participate in the battle of egos. When you remain calm and composed, you communicate that your identity does not depend on winning an argument. The psychological independence often shifts the entire dynamic of the discussion. The other person may begin to calm down because there is no longer an opponent fueling their emotional intensity. Silence also allows deeper listening, which is one of the most important skills in resolving disagreements. In many arguments, people are not truly listening. They are simply waiting for their turn to speak. While the other person talks, the mind is already preparing counterarguments, defenses, or attacks. Genuine understanding cannot occur in this environment because both sides are focused on themselves rather than the issue. When you choose silence, you give yourself the opportunity to actually hear what the other person is saying. Sometimes beneath anger there is fear, frustration, or pain that has not been expressed clearly. By listening quietly, you may discover the real concern hidden behind the surface argument. This understanding often reveals solutions that would never appear during a shouting match. Silence also communicates confidence. People who feel insecure often talk excessively during arguments because they fear being perceived as weak or wrong. They feel a constant need to justify themselves and fill every moment with explanations. Confident individuals, however, understand that they do not need to defend every point immediately. They are comfortable with pauses and reflection. Their calm presence shows that they are thinking rather than reacting. This kind of silence is not passive or fearful. It is deliberate and controlled. It signals that you are evaluating the situation carefully before responding. In many cases, this composure causes the other person to respect your position more, because calmness often appears stronger than emotional aggression. Silence also reduces the likelihood of escalation. Arguments often grow not because the disagreement is serious, but because each response intensifies the emotional tone. A sarcastic remark triggers a sharper reply, which then triggers an insult, and soon the discussion is turned into a personal attack. Silence interrupts this chain reaction. When there is no immediate response to escalate the situation, the emotional energy gradually fades. The other person may realize that continuing to shout serves no purpose when the conversation is not moving forward. In this way, silence becomes a form of de-escalation that protects both individuals from unnecessary conflict. Another important element of silence is the mental clarity it provides. When emotions are high, the brain's rational thinking processes become weaker while instinctive reactions become stronger. This means that decisions made in the middle of an intense argument are often poor decisions. By choosing silence, even for a few seconds, you allow your mind to slow down and regain logical control. Those few moments of pause can completely change the direction of a conversation. Instead of responding with anger, you may choose a thoughtful question, a calm explanation, or even a decision to postpone the discussion until both people are calmer. Silence can also expose the motivations behind an argument. Sometimes people argue not because they want to solve a problem, but because they want attention, validation, or emotional release. When you refuse to engage in endless verbal combat, the person may eventually reveal the deeper reason for their frustration. This is particularly important in relationships where unresolved emotions often hide behind surface disagreements. Silence creates an environment where those deeper feelings can emerge. In addition, silence often increases the impact of the words you eventually choose to speak. When someone talks continuously, their words begin to lose significance because they are mixed with too many other statements. But when a person listens quietly for a long time and then speaks calmly and precisely, their words carry greater weight. The listener pays closer attention because the response appears thoughtful rather than impulsive. This makes communication more effective and meaningful. Silence also helps separate emotional reactions from actual problems. Many arguments become complicated because the emotional tension distracts both individuals from the original issue. When the emotional storm settles through silence, the real problem becomes easier to identify. Once the focus returns to the issue itself rather than personal attacks, constructive discussion becomes possible. Silence is also powerful because it prevents manipulation. In some arguments, people deliberately try to provoke reactions. They may use insults, exaggerations, or accusations to push the other person into an emotional response. When you remain silent and composed, there they feel H.